Hi, my name is Kirsty and welcome to Kirsty Knits and Sews. This is a special episode where I'm talking about my stash and my stats. Now, at the beginning of the year, I did a stash, stats and plans episode where I spoke about what I had in my stash, what I was planning to do with that, and I set myself a couple of goals. And so today we're going to check in. We're a third of the way through the year. We're going to check in and see how I'm going with those goals. Now, those goals, as far as I remember, and I haven't gone back to check the video because I remember I recorded the video and then I packed and then I kind of rearranged a little bit what I was thinking. But my basic goals were knit on things that are smaller, more detailed, not smaller, but more fiddly. So don't try and just knit things that will get stashed out quickly, chunky yarn, that kind of thing. Knit things that I want to knit. And another one of them was see if I can use 10,000 grams, which is almost what I used last year in 2025. And I did highlight that that could be a bit of a tension there. If I'm trying to use 10,000 grams, but I'm also doing super fine, like lace knitting or 4-ply, Fair Isle patterns, then that doesn't really work for getting a lot of yarn out quickly and still doing those delicate, slower paced knitting. I also highlighted that I wanted to spin and do more spinning, which again doesn't really work with the getting stash out or getting stash out quickly, because when I spin, that actually adds into my stash. And so I was like, this is a fun goal to set, but also I'm not sure if it's realistic. The other thing that I mentioned as a possible goal was amount of skeins in my stash. I started the year with 563 skeins in my stash, and so I thought maybe I could see if I could get that down to maybe 400 or something by the end of the year. And so I wanted to check in on some of these goals and see how I'm actually tracking for them and see if we need to do some reorienting or rearranging. I will also say that I didn't set myself a no buy or anything like that, because that's not what I'm really about. I want to use what I have, I like what I have, and I genuinely actually want to use it. I'm not trying to get down to zero or anything like that. But I also know that when I have an opportunity to go to a yarn show or to go to a yarn shop, they are few and far between generally in my life, and so I take that opportunity when I can. So let's have a look at how I'm going and see whether things need to change. The first thing that I will share is my grams used. Now, I have been sharing this every month. At the end of the month, I tell you on my regular podcast what I've used in that month. So in January, I used 876 grams. Now, I can't be sure because I haven't done the maths today, but that was very close to 1/12 of 10,000 grams. I can't remember if it was right under or right over, but it was very, very close to 1/12 of 10,000 grams. So I was like, great, I'm on track. February, I used 74 grams. Now, to clarify here, when I say used, that is the amount that my finished objects weighed that month, not the amount that I actually knit. And I will talk about that a little bit more, but basically what I'm finding is that I don't have many projects that are near completion. I'm at the beginning of them all. And so I'm knitting a lot, but I'm not seeing grams out. And so that will probably flip towards the second half of the year, that I'll start finishing the projects that I'm working on. But it is a little disheartening, not gonna lie. In March, it was 344 grams, and in April it was 209 grams. So definitely more than in February, but still collectively nowhere near that 800 and something mark. So all up in the first third of the year, I've used 1,303 grams of yarn. Now, I'm not breaking that down into terms of like how many socks and how many sweaters and how many whatever, but I will say generally it's 4-ply that I'm using. And so, 100 grams is 400 meters. If I was doing the same projects in DK, then that would probably be quite a different number. But again, my goal isn't to use my yarn. My goal has been to enjoy the process and knit on the things that I want to knit on. So am I doing that? Yes. Am I enjoying the things I'm knitting on? Yes. Am I working on a lot of different projects and progressing them slowly? Yes. So, you know, my one goal of knitting on what I want to knit on and not trying to get grams out and choose projects based on grams out, check. Am I at 3,333 grams like I would be if I was on track for my 10,000 gram goal? No. I am more than half of that, less than half of that, less than half of that. So, you know, 10,000 gram goal, not really going very well. All right, so then what about skeins? Because that was the third thing that I kind of threw out as a, maybe I'll try and get down to 400 skeins. I started 563 and I am currently on 592. That's 29 skeins more than I started the year with. Now skeins, I say skeins, but really it's skeins or balls. It's anything that is 50 grams or more that comes into my stash. And so some of my skeins will be 200 grams. A lot of them will be 50 grams. Some of them are 25 grams. I should say that. My mohairs that are 25, I'm counting as a skein or as a ball. So yeah, there is definitely a lot of different weights in that, but the number has definitely gone up. And will continue to go up probably, maybe, because as I'm spinning, when I finish spinning 100 grams of yarn, that then goes into my stash as a skein in. I am tracking everything here in this notebook, and I will just show quickly my yarn purchases page. I was hoping this would be enough for the entire year. And my next page, like if I turn the page, I have something on the next page. So I knew that maybe in years to come, I would need to have another section in here for purchases or yarn in. I have been putting gifts here as well. But I'm clearly buying more than I expected to. And I'm looking at this. A lot of what I've bought specifically to make gifts for people. So it's not like I'm just like, hey, look, that's a pretty yarn, I'm going to buy that. They have been thoughtful, deliberate reasons for buying the yarn. But it's still been a lot of yarn. So, let's chat. Two things have happened recently. One is that we have moved. We've moved from a very large 2-story house with an attic where our walk-in wardrobe became my craft closet to a 1-level apartment with no attic and no storage. Our wardrobe is being used as a wardrobe now. I'm looking at it here, I'm recording my bedroom, and I'm like, it's not a tiny wardrobe, but it's mostly full of clothes. And other than that, there is no storage in this entire house. We have bookshelves, we have created a storage area at the end of the kids' bedroom because their bedroom was huge, but like we've had to create storage space. And so what I'm coming up against is I have a lot of crafting supplies. I have a lot of yarn and fiber, but I also have a lot of fabric and sewing things, and I don't have places to put them anymore. So we're trying to unpack and settle into this house, and I've realized that I cannot keep the amount of stuff that I currently have. Now, I'm gonna like put a little thing in here. If you've just watched or recently watched my last episode, where at the end I show all the things that I bought at Wonderwool, which, you know, let me just pull up a couple here that I showed. Pretty fiber, isn't it gorgeous? I have just bought more things into this house. But two things. One, this is my yarn show for the year, and I deliberately went wanting to buy different breeds of wool, which I did. I'm very, very excited for that. Two, I only started unpacking my craft things when I got back. And so I am so, so grateful that I was able to buy these things, and I am very excited to use them and spin them and play with them. But the reality of my situation has only just hit. In fact, yesterday I was Oh no, I'd say the last 2 or 3 days I've been rearranging, and like I've now got my sewing whips up above my wardrobe. There's other stuff stored up there as well, so I've just kind of put them around there, and I've got my sewing whips are currently on a hat stand and overflowing the hat stand. Yeah, there's just a whole lot of stuff that I'm trying to figure out how to fit what I have into the home that we have and make it a comfortable, restful place to be, which means I don't want boxes or tubs or totes or whatever it may be just sitting around. I want places where the eye can rest. I want this to be a life-giving and welcoming home, not a hoarder's paradise. So, I had a bit of a think yesterday because I do have a lot of things and I don't want to just give them away or destash them or throw them away, definitely not. And here in Poland, craft at a charity shop or an op shop, secondhand shop, is not as much of a thing that I've seen. There may be something around, but I haven't seen that. So I can't just be like, this is stuff I'm not going to use and take it down to a charity shop. To be honest, I'm not sure I'd want to do that anyway. I'm at this point where if it's something that I like and I think I will use or I will enjoy using, I still want to keep it. And so I'm trying to figure out what that looks like. But the other thing is, I don't feel a need to bring anything else into this house. And so, yeah, couple of things. First of all, I am going to do a no-buy for the rest of the year. This is not any indication that you should do a no-buy. That's not what I'm doing. This is just my reality, the house that I'm in, the space that I have. There's no point in bringing more things in. There's nothing more that I need. And also, like, I have an abundance now for the crafts that I do and the time that I have. I have an absolute abundance. I am planning to, teach people at church how to knit and how to sew, and there's things like that I'm going to be doing. But even taking into account giving people a ball of sock yarn to learn to knit or teaching them to sew with the fabric, I have an abundance. So the no-buy for me is partly out of respect for my family. There is no point bringing anything else into this house if I cannot put it in a place where it will belong. And partly, I just don't need anything. I will say, if I'm like knitting the jumper for my brother and I'm like, I need an extra ball of this beige because I used half of it for socks for my daughter, then sure, I can buy that one ball of yarn. But I'm not going to be like, I want to buy this, I want to make this sweater that I've just seen today on Ravelry and I need to buy all this yarn for it. No. I'm not doing that. I have so many projects lined up. I'm not doing that. Another thing that I want to do is I want to get my whips down. Now, this isn't maybe I should tell you what it is, not what it isn't. This is simply because currently all of my whips are in the open. I don't have a hidey hole for them. I don't have a cupboard that I can put them in. I may have a cupboard that I can put some in soon, but most of them are just out and we can see them. And that is a lot of visual clutter. Even though it's on they're arranged and they're organized, it's still a lot of visual clutter. And so I would love to get the amount of whips that I have down. I'm not sure how many, but I would like to get some off the needles so that we have less things lying around as visual clutter. I still am enjoying working on them all. I'm not wanting to frog them, but I would like to finish them. And I can't remember if I mentioned it here or in the podcast that I just recorded, but none of my whips are really close to being finished. This is one of my problems. In terms of getting 10,000 grams, I'm still wanting to work on the things that I'm enjoying working on and doing the slower paced things. But I did have a minute of maybe I could just finish 3 whips and get them out of the way. And then I had a look through them and I have about, I think I said, 26, not including blankets, maybe 32, 33 including blankets. And aside from a couple of pairs of socks, which I could theoretically have finished in a week, I don't really have anything as low hanging fruit, like as easy to complete. Probably the next two would be the two of the t-shirts that I'm knitting for my tea knit along, because one is almost to the body, which is stockinette, and the other one is, also almost to the body, which is just basically stockinette. So I have two t-shirts that I could hopefully finish this month. But other than that, I don't have low hanging fruit. Most of what I've been working on, I've cast on and done a few rows because I've done them for 12 cast ons and haven't come back to them yet. I do have a jumper that I've either just finished the body or almost finished the body of the hem, and then I've just got sleeves to go. That's probably the next low hanging fruit. And after that, we're really talking like collars for jumpers is about where I'm at. So yeah, in terms of finishing things and having some of that visual clutter reduced, potentially I could have 5 bags less by the end of the month if I finish 2 pairs of socks, 2 t-shirts, and potentially that jumper. That could be 5 things less, which, is still 5 things less. I'm also trying to organize things so that I have a cupboard where I can put some of the smaller bags, and maybe have just less out. And I do have a separate area in the house where I can kind of fit 3 small bags, which is helpful. And that's just really what I'm actually working on every day, sits in that spot. Yeah. So that's something else that I'm trying to think through at the moment, not because I don't like having lots of whips, but because, again, where I'm now living, the family, like respect for my family, I don't want knitting to take over the house. And at the moment, I very much feel like my crafting, knitting and others is taking over the house. So having less whips or having less things so I can store whips in places that can't be seen is definitely part of that goal. In terms of the 10,000 grams out, I'm keeping that as a loose goal. I figure if I finish my temperature blanket that I'm working on consistently throughout the year, if I actually manage to finish that on the 31st of December, then that's 2,000 grams-ish that'll come out of my stash on the 30, or like 1,500 something. It'll be a large number on the 31st of December if I can actually get that done. So that would be fun. So I'm still keeping that as a loose goal, but really that is secondary to the other things, which is knitting the things that I am enjoying knitting and working through the projects that aren't quick, as well as seeing if I can reduce my whips. The other thing that I have been considering here is I have a lot of clothes fabric, like fabric to make clothes, and I have a lot of sewing whips. Like I have another 30 sewing whips already that are quilting or cushions or table runners or something. And that is also taking up a lot of room. And I also have like a lot of scraps for quilting because I love sewing, but I haven't been sewing as much since I had children. So I'm not wanting to get rid of, but I would like to get back into the process of doing some of those things. And so what I am considering, and I can see them up here, I have tubs of sewing whips. I also have one that I was making for one of my best friends and her husband when they got married, and I have not finished that yet. And then I have a few other ones. And so what I thought I'd do is when I set up my sewing machine, I'm going to try and set it up so that it can stay set up. I probably won't keep my overlocker set up, but my sewing machine I will, and I will try and have it set up in a way that is clean and peaceful to look at, but also practical where I can sit down and just sew for 15 minutes, while I'm waiting for water to boil in the kitchen or something. Where I can just kind of sit down and do quick things, or waiting for the kids to brush their teeth at night, whatever it is, those little margins that I could sit and do a few seams. And so my plan, my hope is that I can do that and I can start working through some of those boxes as well. Some of them I had kind of loosely earmarked as gifts. Some of them I wanted to try something. And so what I thought I'd do is, once I finish the one that is the wedding present, which is now quite overdue, to be fair, for their wedding present, I said, I'm going to make you a quilt. It took 6 months for them to choose, or for us to decide what quilt that would be. And so it's, you know, been a year and a half or something since I knew which quilt I was going to make for them. But yes, it's been a slow process making that. So yeah, after that one, I think what I'll do is I'll just choose a tub, which, you know, maybe this size tub, and they will have, some of them have one project, some of them have like 2 or 3 projects. And so I'll just pull that tub down and I'll work through, I would love to say until it was done, but I know some of them will not work that way. Like very, very scrappy. Yeah. But I'll work on them and see if I can cross some of those off as well. Finish them, give them to the people that I was hoping to give them to. Yeah. So that is kind of my rejigged plans, which isn't just knitting related, I know. But yeah, that's kind of my rejigged plans for knitting. I am going to focus on my whips before I move on to new things. I think I'll probably still do cast off, cast on. So if I finish a 12 cast ons project, I will let myself cast on something new. And as I finish like vanilla socks or something, I'll start the next pair, but at the moment they're pretty much all day 10 of 12 cast ons anyway. If you don't know what 12 cast ons is, it's a knit along hosted by Ange of Yarn and Yarns, who, where you cast on up to 12 things between Christmas Eve and the 31st of January the following year. And then you work on them throughout the year or in years to come. So I still have 12 cast-ons from 2025 on the needles, and I did more this year, 2026. And so cast off, cast on is when I finish one of those 12 cast-ons projects, is that I cast on a new project that I had in my 12 cast-ons bowl. So yeah, I think I'll still do that. The other one that I need to cast on is the sweater I'm planning to knit my brother for Christmas, which is one of the projects that I bought yarn for this year, and is why I have so many skeins in, because they were 50 gram balls. 50 gram balls for a adult male's jumper adds up quite quickly. So yeah, that is what I'm thinking. No new cast-ons except for cast off, cast on, and my brother's jumper. And potentially socks when I'm needing socks on the needles. I do want to keep spinning. I have plenty of fibre, lots of new fibre, and I want to spin spindle as well as spinning wheel. So if I'm going out, I think I will try and take spindle a little more. While I don't have space to keep my spinning wheel in the lounge room or study, am I making goals that I can't keep? Like, I'd like to do spindle, like supported spindle spinning a little bit each day so that I can progress on that. And maybe I'll set myself a goal for that I do that until the roll ags are done, because I have I have 50 grams of roll ags, 8 roll ags. And so maybe if I do that until the roll ags are done and then put that aside, that should be enough for me to really get into the groove for spindle spinning. I want to work on sewing projects, get my machine set up and work on that. The other one that I didn't mention yet is making clothes. My children are quickly outgrowing what they've been wearing and need a new set of clothes. And I have plenty of fabric that I've bought to make them clothes that I haven't actually made them clothes with. So rather than, as they're growing up and growing out of what they've been wearing, me going and buying clothes for them, I would love if in this next few months I can focus on making them some clothes. My daughter will need some more dresses for summer. My son will need some more shorts. I think the pants he has, like he wears fleece pants, should be fine, or brushed jersey pants should be fine until winter. So if I make him some shorts and some t-shirts, my daughter some dresses and some shorts to go under them, then they're probably good for a while. So I've got plenty of fabric to do that. That will be the other thing. And that way I'm minimizing what I'm storing, or at least using what I've been storing, and turning that into useful things for them. And dresses and shorts are actually really easy. I also have a lot of elastic sitting there, so that's going to work great. And I have also lots of material to make dresses for myself. Most of them are jersey, some of them are cotton. And actually where I was for lunch yesterday, she had a dress that was basically a tank top, a jersey tank top, that then had a cotton skirt attached to it. And I loved it. It looked so lovely, so feminine, so comfortable. And I thought I could make that quite easily. I have a tank top pattern, and so if I use the tank top pattern and then just add a cotton skirt to it, oh, it would be delightful. So I thought maybe I'll do that as well. Yeah, just make a couple of dresses for me, because the dresses that I have yeah, getting a little bit old, a little bit worn out. Having a few more that I can choose from would be lovely. So that's, I mean, basically we can sum this up as use what I have to make the things that we need and make this house a restful place. How am I going to do that short term? While I'm taking the time to do all of these things, I'm not entirely sure. We do have a few places that I can just kind of stack up. We have very tall ceilings here, and so there are a few places that I can kind of put tubs of fabric until the time that I can cut things out for patterns and make them. And the same for spinning fiber, is I have a couple of places that I can put that. Yarn largely is away. But yeah, even that, like I've got a few things that are just extra. Can I say it like that? Like that are not nicely stored. And I also have been, we had some plastic drawers that were really designed for like offices and paper and things that I'd been storing a lot of my sewing supplies in. And now that I don't have the same space, I've been putting those into tins and boxes and putting them into a bookshelf. And it's working all right, but definitely it's taking up less space, but it's kind of looking more cluttered, because rather than very uniform, everything matches, it's now very bits and bobsy. So yeah, there's just a few things that I'm still working out how this actually works in practice in this house. If I need to, I will give things away. If I need to, in order to make this house a home for my family, then yes, I will do that. But at the moment, yeah, basically no buy, use what I have, sew clothes for the kids rather than going and buying them, so that I'm not using resources that I don't need to use when I have resources here that I can use, and continue to work on the things that I'm actually already have on the needles, plus my brother's jumper. I don't know if you can hear that. My daughter's singing quite loudly in the next room. Yeah. Is there anything else to add here? I will, if I haven't already, try and take some footage of my storage things so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here, and the boxes that are not yet unpacked. I would like to get to the point where I can do 12 cast-ons again next year without feeling like I have too many whips. And again, not because I have too many whips, just because I don't have a place to put them. So yeah, if I can work through the things that I've started and not start too many more, then that should then reflect in grams out, as well as giving the things to people that I've intended to give to people, as well as having more space in my house, or at least freeing up some of the space that is in my house for things that are not supplies. Yeah. So there you go. When I recorded the episode at the beginning of the year for Stash Stats and Plans, I had no idea what house or apartment I would be moving into. And yeah, we're very happy with the apartment we have, but this is just one of the things that I've noticed as I've been unpacking, that there are limits. And this is one way that I can, respect my family, show love to my family by not having my crafting take over the entire house. Yeah, so I think that's all I have to share with you about stats. The other thing I wanted to ask you actually was, if I'm doing sewing things that are not just project bags but actually quilts or whatever, are you interested in seeing that? Because this is Kirsty Knits and Sews, but most of the things I do here is knitting related or crochet related. So is that something you would actually be interested in, is seeing occasionally a quilt that I've been working on or making progress on? And then the other thing I didn't mention about goals that I will say here is I have a lot more acrylic yarn than I thought I did. I have a friend recently who moved away from Poland and gave me the rest of her yarn, which was delightful. But not that she moved away, that she gave me her yarn. Hey Megan, if you're watching. But it does mean I have a lot more acrylic yarn than I usually do. And I usually keep acrylic yarn for a few different projects. But I thought what I might do is do another scrap bucket. Emily, hey Emily, of Waldenburn here on YouTube, she has been doing some scrap buckets. The pattern is, I believe, My Poppet Makes. And if I can do this without bumping the table too much, hang on. This is one of the ones that I have made previously. I made this one, I think originally for toy storage for my kids. It has handles in it, so it's easy to carry things around. And at the moment, I'm just using it to hold all the stuff, projects and fibre that I just showed on my podcast. But I really enjoy making these, and I thought, I have all this scrap yarn, let's make some more. But I don't want to make them for the sake of making them. So I am going to have a think about whether I want to try and make some rectangle ones to store things in my shelves, whether I want to make some rectangle ones to store kids' things in their shelves. I did have the thought of crocheting one to go around a tub that the kids' toys are in, because the kids have like IKEA tubs, which are kind of ugly. And so I thought maybe if I did some crochet around them, it could just make it look prettier. I don't know if it's very functional or has a purpose other than aesthetics. But if I do find if I put kids' toys in them without some kind of support inside, then they just get squished. And so the tub is more helping the basket look prettier, be functional, and the basket is helping the tub look prettier. Maybe? I don't know. These are the thoughts. And that would be scraps out, like that would be yarn out, not skeins out, that would be yarn out. I haven't counted acrylic yarn in my skeins. So that would be yarn out, grams out. It would be fun to do, but it would be a new project. Yeah, I'm not sure. I bought a book when I was in England from an op shop that was about storage for the house. So when I say no more whips, I don't want to start long-term whips. I will start storage for the house, things that I can kind of make up and finish. If I'm going to do like crocheted coasters or something, that's fine. And birthday presents, like my daughter's birthday is coming up, so knitting a birthday present for her is on my list. So not no new whips, but small whips that I can finish quickly that don't add to my whip pile. Yeah? All right. I think I'm going to call it there, guys. Thank you so much for being here for this kind of rambly check-in at the 3-month mark. Like I said, I have not used a third of the grams that I've been planning to use this year. I have not downsized the amount of skeins that I have at all. I have not stashed down at all for the first third of this year. And that is now my goal. It was not my goal at the beginning of the year to specifically stash down. Now it is. So let's see how I go with that. I will come back and check in with another stash update in 4 months' time, end of August that would be, beginning of September, to check in again and see how I'm going 2/3 of the way through the year. But otherwise, if you come and join me on my regular podcast, I share all the things that I'm making, all the things that I work on, and at the end of every month, I do share my stash stats, which is skeins in, skeins out, projects finished, projects unfinished, and grams out. So I share that every month. All right, thank you so much. Please let me know down below, are you doing a kind of stash down or no buy? Are you focusing on using your stash, or are you focusing on building your stash? I've definitely, when I started knitting, was very much into bringing things in and buying things that I could use, and I would be hearing about people stashing down, and I'm like, why would you be doing that? Because I just didn't have much. So yeah, I'm interested to see where you're up to with your journey. And if you live in a big house, do you find that you just kind of buy stuff and squirrel it away and don't even notice? If you live in a smaller place, how do you manage your storage? I'm really interested to know. That is it for me today. I look forward to seeing you again another time, and I will see you later. Bye.